seconds. I see lots of people jumping in. Let's go. So we are here every single month. We do this power hour. We take a growth model that Jason Abrams features on the MREA podcast. And then we actually turn that growth model into a marketing system so that our KW community can activate it immediately. I am Selena Isaac. I'm the CEO of Agent Moves. I'm also the founder of the high impact marketing community with KW. And we have a really special guest today that I am super excited about because she's operations oriented, and anyone who knows me knows I am totally into that. So today's guest works on operations for a 3-person team that closes nearly 30 million, right, Savannah? 30 million a year. No cold calling, no paid ads. She was actually recently featured on the MREA podcast. I think it was episode 124. And our community has been talking all about you, Savannah, all about you. So I always open up with one question, and it's the same question each time. And so I'm going to open with that. If you had to start over tomorrow, Savannah, and just had your database and no brand, what would be the first thing that you would do?
I would get very clear about the 5 biggest advocates that I have for my business, that support my business, and treat them to lunch or coffee, and really ask them when they see me in, a professional setting, what do they see? What are they experiencing? Because I think sometimes we can get very caught in ourselves of what we think our brand should be versus what people are actually seeing. And I think that will also then just start building those relationships right out of the gate with your sphere. Oh my gosh, I'm going to absolutely forget his name, Scott Maloof, out of San Antonio, Texas. He does that 50 coffee dates, and genius on his part. He's also been on the MREA, so make sure you go and listen to his podcast.
That's awesome. That actually leads super nicely into the growth model that you talked about, which was what I am calling a values-based marketing growth model. And so I'm going to bring it up on the screen, just the model that was shared. We're assuming you have watched that because that is going to help you with the rest of this. So I'm going to bring it up on the screen. And if you could take Santa like 30 seconds and just take us through what it was at a high level, because we're really going to spend time and unpack that whole thing. So here we go.
Awesome. Okay. So when we sat down and looked at our communication style and how we wanted clients to feel through the experience, it basically came down to these 3 things. We wanted to make sure they felt safe, heard, and informed. And I think, some people could say, oh, well, if the client feels informed, they're going to feel safe. Yes, but at the same time, safe has so much more to do with actually being their advisor, being a trusted person that you can have life conversations with, right? Because usually when someone is buying or selling a home, there's a lot of life happening. Heard, people have different concerns. People have different walks of life. You never know what has really, again, happened. And so making sure that they feel heard about what they are looking for during the transaction is pertinent. And then informed, making sure each step of the way they feel informed. And even though you might be like, oh, this client buys a lot of investment properties, that's great. However, you still should follow a process because we do this every day. They don't.
That's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect. But I also want you to tell us who you are. Tell us a little about Jeff and Julie, just for those who may not have, heard the part about that in the MREA podcast. Tell us who you are.
Yeah. So, Savannah, and live in Colorado. I have a beautiful 3-year-old daughter who is the pride and joy of my life, and will always mention that. And also then obviously a working mom, which can just make it so fun. And anyone that is out there for that, I'm here to have a conversation with about that. Jeff and Julie have also been in business about the same amount of time that I actually had gotten in the business. We have known each other since I started in real estate, but I didn't officially start working for them until 3 years ago. And it has just been a beautiful relationship ever since. Really, we dove into every system that they had and worked on making sure that we brought these three things through all of our communication, through all of our lead follow up programs. And last year we had 43 transactions close for just under 30 million.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And all of that was based on this model that you're going to talk through. And we are going to just jump right into it. We have a marketing plan that I'm going to put that up on the screen, that you can actually get access to. I'm going to tell you exactly where to get access to this marketing plan. That is usually the number one question I get, Savanna, while we're doing this is, where is that? Where do I get this? So this is the full, call it the values driven marketing plan. It is completely based on Savanna Campbell's growth model and how she outlines it. We are going to talk through all of the components of this, and you can get access to it by, I'm going to show you. All you have to do is go onto this website and we will get it for you. I'm going to put it in the chat, but it is highimpact.agentmoves.io/Savanna. And I am putting it into the chat right now so you can see it and grab it. And we're just going to start jumping in and talking about it. I'm going to share that screen again and get right into it.
Love it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is where you'll get it from. You just scroll down here, fill out your information, and you can get the actual marketing plan. But we are going to talk through it so you can see if it's kind of right for you. And let me pull that plan back up again. Of course, I shared the wrong screen. There we go. Goodness, tech, right?
Tech is always fun. You know, if there's any challenges that we ever have, it's 100% tech.
100% tech. It's always tech. I like to blame tech too. My oldest
right?
son is like, it's not its fault, it's you. All right. And that makes me feel really, really old. All right. So let's jump back in. All right. So we kind of went through this model and she started with the values part of it, which we have actually put as your step number one. Now, you don't necessarily need to use the same values that Savanna is using, but she's going to give you a little bit of insight on how they chose their values. And these are encompassed around typically 2 to 3 words that you want your clients to embody, to actually feel when they're working with you. And the concept that she has here is, how do you use everything that you communicate out, everything that you do for a client, and embody those values? So tell us how you came up with these, or how your team came up with these.
Yeah. So really we're digging in, and Jeff and Julie were already running a great sized business, but we were like, okay, how do we take it to the next level, right? Where are we going to be in 5 years? And we did use ChatGPT for this, and hands off to Jeff because he is the one that ultimately, you know, came up with this brainchild originally, was basically going, okay, I want to sit down with Chat and have it run through a series of questions, because we understood our brand, but we really had a problem communicating it outward. And we knew we wanted to call it the signature way, but that was it. And so we sat down with Chat and asked it a lot of questions, and it came out with a paragraph. The paragraph was super helpful. It helped us filter through things that we were posting, but we just still didn't have the full way to explain it. And last fall, as we were going through everything, it honestly just kind of hit us like a freight train, because we understood our brand enough. I was like, that's it. These are the 3 core things we are trying to provide to our clients. And that's what makes us different, right? Every agent says, oh, well, I'll do this kind of marketing, or I will do XYZ, or I have a stager, or I have a photographer on staff. We have 2. But what makes us different is that we are emotionally connecting with the clients. And honestly, for us, the people that will embrace those values of our team are the people we want to work with. And it brought clarity about who we actually need to target, which just then escalated our business. And so last year we were naturally doing this, but in full honesty, we really implemented this last fall. And we're not even halfway through Q2 yet, and we are halfway to where we ended last year. So we're
Amazing.
going to go above and beyond what we did last year. But it's just because of the clarity that we have brought of understanding our branding and going, okay, these are the people we actually want to target. Here's the values we want them to, or the emotions we want them to feel when working with us. And that's what ultimately came out to those three things.
Okay, great. So that's kind of the first step, is to define how your clients should actually feel. You can use
Mhm.
ChatGPT, you can use Claude, whatever you want to help you define it. I have one hack that you can use, which is what I use with a lot of our clients when we're defining the unique value proposition, which is what Savanna is alluding to. And our hack is you take all of your reviews, copy them out of Google, even your responses, right? Put it into ChatGPT, Claude, wherever you want, and say, look at all of these reviews and responses and help me to identify what people feel when they are working with me. And that will help you get to 3 pretty good words that you can use, and it will give you a great starting place. So,
And once you understand those words too, you're able to take them then and put them through AI to all of your communications and everything like that. But to the point when you're creating them too, definitely taking into account what people are feeling. So we did use reviews. We sat down with really close clients. And then also, if we felt there should have been something and we're realizing we're missing the mark, we actually realized we were missing the mark on the herd a little bit when we went through this. And we were like, okay, that actually, people were communicating, you guys do an excellent job. XYZ though. And we're like, oh, okay, clarity around that. That's what people want. And so we got clear about that and made sure we understood it as a value as a team and how that was going to look inside of our organization.
that's amazing advice. That's great advice. All right, so let's get into the marketing plan. Now, assuming that you have your words, these are Savannah's words, right? So safe, heard, and informed. It's what it means and how you want it to show up, right? Make sure you've identified that clearly. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this. When you put that into your ChatGPT and say, here is what I need for my 3 words, it will give it to you. But let's get into the marketing plan. Okay. So, what you talked about after defining that was making sure that it was actually put into everything that you guys were doing and how you were generating leads and your pipeline. And it came down to 3 core places, right? Talk us through that.
So a quick note on this really quickly too. As you go through this, do not just say, I want my templates to feel safe to chat, because what's going to happen is it's going to try to integrate the word safe and it's not going to be clear in the communication. So it's good to understand your 3 words, but you need to be able to define them so your templates then can reflect it. So that's a key thing, because I feel like some people are like, oh, well, I know my 3. I want it to be this. And then it doesn't work at all. They're like, chat's not spitting out the right thing. Okay, so to the point of this. So past clients in our database. So we run a really high touch program that our clients are getting pretty much marketing from us every other week. We have a newsletter that it's ran through the algorithm. And then we have emails that go out every quarter to our database, text messages, and then our phone calls. And although we don't want our phone calls to feel scripted, we're very clear about the value that we're going to try to bring on that call. So heading into summer, hey, what do you need? Do you need, help with the tree removal, especially with the wonderful high winds that we've recently had? But we always try to be resourceful and keep our clients' home, their asset, at their forefront every time they have a conversation with us, right? Because we are in real estate, but they might not be ready to buy or sell. And this also helped us with our client events as well. believe it or not. So it gave us clarity about our demographic. We mainly serve Estes Park, which the demographic up there just so happens to usually be 50 plus. And letting our branding know that, we were able to then say, what would people in this demographic that aren't here all the time, that are traveling, that have secondary homes, want to happen around here? They want to just experience the small charm of Estes Park at the end of the day. And so we started every other month doing happy hours. And we are getting way more turnout at those than trying to do big events like bowling and barbecues in the park. So it's just a great resource to also use for that.
Amazing. All right. So you guys have basically 3 areas where you are focused on. And this is typically the same for most agents, right? You've got your past clients in your warm database, and that's usually the people that you would have events with. It's the people that already know you, they like you, they just need you to be in front of them more often. You've got some sort of secondary source. Now that secondary source may be open houses for Savanna's team. This is agent to agent referrals. So we're going to dig into that one. And then there is some avenue which you are doing, which you should be doing, which is related to content discovery and how people find you online. Now, this could be YouTube directly. You may have what Savanna's team does, which is a Facebook group, but there is a way in which people come to get to know you. And that is your third growth vehicle. So when you think through what your words are, your goal is going to be to try to, for your top 3 sources, try to figure out how to integrate those feelings into how you communicate and into your actual lead generation efforts for those 3 buckets. So we're going to jump into the agent to agent one first, because I think that is super unique how you're doing it. And we got a lot of questions related to how you are doing that. So let's go into that. So a couple of the things that came to mind, and these are coming directly from some of the questions that we got in the community, which was, you had mentioned that you actually send out this monthly tip of the month video. Your team sends it out, and that video goes to other agents that are in your database who are perfect referral partners for you. So can you tell us what that tip of the month may look like? Who films it? How long does it take to do? Is there a script? Do you use AI? How are you doing this to make it scalable to your database?
Yeah. So I think everyone thinks that like it's this full-on production thing. And I am not going to lie, it honestly started because I realized we need to get content out to our agents not local 3 years ago. And I just held the camera right up in front of my face. And I was like, hey, it's Savanna. We just did this for December and it worked really well for us. Let me know if you find this tip helpful. And that was it. And we sent it out and we got so much feedback from it that we were like, okay, we got to do this every month. And we have only skipped 1 month, and that was because we were having horrendous fires in Estes Park. But otherwise, we have stayed consistent with it. And it is under a minute long because agents' attention span is usually short. They want the information immediately. And it's just a little tip that we're doing. It might be, our pre-call sheet, hey, or our pre-appointment sheet. So before listing, we do a form with our sellers that goes over really important details to actually better comp properties. Because of Estes Park, it's not, normal homes. So we have actually beat out other agents because we have taken the time to do that. And so we'll share that resource. We talk about it on the little minute video, and we put it on YouTube. And you can't search for it. You have to have the link to be able to view the video, just because we don't want clients obviously stumbling upon it. And then we take the link and I send it through a text message and just say, today, ironically, after this actually is when I have to send it out.
And it's the same YouTube unlisted link.
It's not the same one just because it's a new video. So it will produce a different URL, but they can then watch all of our other ones if they're a newer agent into our database.
Like in your YouTube. Okay. That makes sense. Yep. That's great. And you send it out via a text. Did everyone hear that? She sends it out through a text. Why do you do it through a text?
Well, Jason made me stop talking when I said this, but agents and email is a unique thing. And they're really good at checking emails for deals, but everything else I feel like can get lost, right? And so we want to stay top of mind. And a majority of people are going to consume a reel because that's what our Agents Not Local video looks like, is a reel, um, through their phone. And so they're likely to actually continue scrolling through the rest of our Agents Not Local if they're, missed a month or something like that, because it does go in order. And we just get way more response, and I can have a direct thing conversation with them, and we're not playing email to email. It's an instant conversation.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then once you start that conversation, or what's the follow-up look like? How are you trying to get them from the video to making a referral, or how do they reach out? What does that look like?
Honestly, we just send the video every single month, and Bob Gobla, who is obviously a well-known agent, he was talking to an agent. He's like, "Oh, you got to call Signature Home Team because he just got our videos." And he never replied back to me, but he apparently was watching them, and I had no idea. And lo and behold, he was referring us to other agents that were looking for somebody out here. So honestly, it's just that, just like your sphere, staying in front of them every single month. But the biggest mistake that I see agents do when it comes to referral is I get emails from people in North Carolina or from Michigan or California, and they're like, new listing. And I'm like, that's great, but I'm not servicing your area. So I don't necessarily have a client. If I do, I would refer them to you, and you would know they want that. I wouldn't know that they would want that. So don't add other agents to what your database is going to be on. Even birthday plans, really focus on, our birthday plans are different for agents versus our clients, to make it more agent focused than a general birthday message to our sphere.
So that's amazing. So 2 messages they will get from you. They will get this tip of the month, and then they will
Mhm.
get a birthday message that's unique to agents.
Correct.
And that
Yep.
would be
Yeah.
that's what it is? Anything
That's what
else?
it is.
Look
And
at
then a
you.
lot of times people, when conferences are coming up, they're like, "Hey, are you gonna be there?" And if we are, we say, "Yes, let's meet up." I'm going down for QL and have some agents already that are like, "Hey, we're gonna be there." I'm like, "Fantastic." So just being intentional too when we're going to these conferences to make sure we're connecting with these people.
Amazing. And I've got some chats. I am reading the chats. I see what you guys are asking. So just to any questions you've got. All right, let's get into the content discovery. So content discovery you guys do through Facebook group, and there's a lot of chatter about Facebook groups and, if we should do one, is it worth the effort? Is it a lot of time? How do we make it valuable? How do we get people in it? The questions go on and on and on. Now, what I thought was super interesting about how you guys do it is you use it as a really innovative way to get attraction to your YouTube
Mhm.
page. And I found that genius. So, will you talk about that?
Yes, yeah. So, mm, family reunion, gosh, this was before I was with Jeff and Julie, and Jeff had heard start a Facebook group. And he had already started one, but he really didn't know what to do with it. There were a few people in it, and it was about Estes Park. The one great thing we have, right, about Estes Park is that it's a destination. People, get married there, they travel there. So we already have a little bit of a niche going, and no one else was really starting a page that people could ask questions. And key thing right here is we made it a safe environment. We do not tolerate any kind of meanness towards each other. Like, you should see some of the comments we see sometimes. We have to approve stuff, and it blows my mind that someone would post that. Um, and additionally, we have started taking our YouTube videos and putting them onto the page. And with those, because of being Signature Home Team, we do Signature Dish. And so we interview the restaurants around there about their top dish. And so the restaurants are getting more business, which makes them love us even more. Um, and clients then feel like they know where they can go and eat and trust, right? So now they're feeling informed. And then people can ask their
Look
questions
at
and
how
feel
she just did
heard.
that. Look at how she just tied the values of her business back into the model. That is the beauty of your system. It's really very few agents do that. They'll come up with great ideas of their value proposition, but integrating it is actually where the magic happens. And you just did that.
Yes. Yeah. And I think one thing too that obviously this is a huge factor, right? We post our videos on there, and eventually sometimes people that when they answer the beginning questions I'm going to talk about in a second, if they say no, they don't want anything from us, they might eventually, because they end up getting onto our YouTube channel and then they start looking at our other videos, seeing our listings, and then we have content for them to download, like a buyer's guide or a relocation guide or a seller's guide. Um, and they're really informational packets, and capture their information and then dump them into our CRM.
So that's also a key thing, right? If you're doing the
Mm-hmm.
YouTube videos, you really have to be driving them someone. It gives them permission to contact you. You give them another way for them to reach out. Otherwise, you're just doing a video to do a video. So
Exactly. And I think it's when you go down to make your content calendar too, what makes you stop and want to watch a video? That's the average span. And I actually just went to a marketing class, and this updated is 6.6 seconds. That is how long you have the attention span of someone when they are on YouTube or going through reels or anything like that. So what would make you stop and actually watch a 20-minute video? Because those still are on Facebook, they're still on reels, and you usually do stop, but why is that happening? And now sometimes obviously if they're looking for something, real estate related, yeah, they're probably going to stop and watch it. But by doing the signature dishes, we talk about the hikes around Estes Park. We talk about community things going on. And so people are stopping because they're starting to understand the community. And sometimes they fall in love with Estes, not ever even being there, and then start watching our real estate. And so we got really clear about how we wanted to have our content look across the board and make sure that people felt like they knew Estes Park before they even stepped foot.
that makes sense. And you, we got a really good question for you here.
Yes.
So when you started when you guys started the Facebook group, was there already another group for Estes Park there? And how do you decide if there's already other groups? Is there a point, or does it not work in your market then?
There is another Estes Park group, and I believe it's ran by city council. I'm not exactly sure who runs it actually, and they let anything get posted. They do, say the things of like, hey, they're, 34 is closed because of the weather. So there's like updates like that happening on there, but there's not anything that's truly explaining the community. And so it was just something that was missing even in the Facebook groups. And so I think if you're looking at starting a Facebook group, just getting clarity in the sense of, okay, are any of these groups doing what I am going to do? Because you don't want to copy what they're doing, because then your page is not going to grow. They could already be getting that content. One thing we did do though is we did run an ad when we first started the group and had some additional content put into there
And
to
that was
start
a
with.
way to get
And that was a way to
additional
start
numbers.
getting followers into the page, because then once we got, our first 100 in there, then the page was starting to escalate, because then it was easier for the algorithm to find. So that is one thing that we did have to run an ad on at the very beginning. And Jeff did all of that
And that was
when
a
he had first
Facebook
started
ad,
this.
a Google ad? What
Mhm.
was it? Facebook ad.
Facebook ad.
Directly to
Yep.
the Facebook group or to sign up for it.
Correct. Yep. And another way you can do too is, encourage your sphere to join the group as well. Use it as a newsletter. Jump on your Facebook and do a talking head video. Hold your, camera right here and just say, "Hey, I started this Facebook group. Would love for you guys to join. What content do you want to see?" People love to give opinions, and so use that to your advantage.
All right. I've got a lot of questions here. Okay. So, all right. So for the Facebook group again, on the Facebook group, did you have certain questions that you would make sure that they could satisfy? Like, did you make sure that they live there? But it sounds like no, because
No.
people were also interested in moving or
Yes.
visiting.
So, and I think if you're going to do something like hyperlocal, like I've seen someone do, things for, moms of Windsor, anything like that, you probably want to make sure, obviously, that they live in the area. For us, we have a lot of people out of state looking for information about Estes Park, right? So we didn't want to ask that question. The questions we ask for people to join the group is making sure they understand that we have zero tolerance for any attitude and that you'll be kicked out immediately. You cannot promote businesses inside of there. And then we ask them if they want a market report and or our newsletter. And we just explain, we just give a little blurb about, this is what our market report does, and this is what our newsletter is about. And we have a lot of people opt in for those two things, and then we have a plan that kicks off into our CRM from there. But that's how we know if they're likely saying yes, they want a market report. They either live locally or they want to know what is actually happening in the market because there's some kind of interest about possibly moving there.
Yeah. So one thing I want everybody to notice is that what Savanna has built here is super intentional, right? It's not super complicated. It's super intentional, right? It's two texts for agent to agent referrals, but after that there is a follow-up, right? It's a YouTube group, but there is a follow-up. There's an intention behind everything to drive and impact leads, and I think that's really, really important.
Yep. And we allow a lot of people to ask questions like best place to get a wedding cake, or, we want to get family photos. What's the best spot? And so we let people ask those kind of questions too. And one thing we are very intentional about is we do not let other local real estate agents in the group. Now, the intention behind that is people will ask in their group, hey, who has a real estate agent in Estes Park? And we see the post beforehand, and so we'll let it sit for a little bit, and then Jeff or Julie will then comment on it to be like, hey, we can. And other people do get suggested. We're not going to take those down, because there are people that they join the group because they're like, we're moving here, and we're like, awesome, who did you use?
Yeah.
And they're
you
have used a different
question,
agent,
like specifically, are you a real estate agent?
We did with one person. I don't really recommend that, because then people are like, well, can I not be in the group? You don't want to cause that. But it's just one of those feelings of just like, dang it, like we missed the mark there, or we missed a lead. But at the same time, that's going to happen, and just let it be. Just let it be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get into the third component, which is your milestone emails. You talked about a set of emails that you send out and how you embody your 3 values into actual client emails. So talk to us about that.
Yeah. So milestone emails are based off of the transaction and what are the major components of a deal. And one thing, I'm going to use the under contract email as an example, because there is just a lot to that email. And the idea behind the emails is obviously to be super informative, but at the same time, again, informing people can look very different. Some people want every single detail, which are going to be your high C's. And some are high D's that want to feel informed, but they need like this much of information and want nothing more, because their brain capacity at a high D doesn't want to deal with it. So our milestone emails are basically a quick highlight of, boom, here are the 3 things immediately coming up, either as a seller or a buyer, that you need to know right away. And they are just short bullet points with the dates. High Ds love that. Then right underneath of that says details about your upcoming deadlines. And that's where we go into depth about what is coming up, how to deposit their earnest money. Because usually if it is a buyer and they read that first line, they're like, deposit your earnest money. Then their next question is why. So then they scroll down and the first thing is earnest money. So then they actually do read that one, because I'm like, this is an important step. You do need to be detailed in this one. And luckily for us in Colorado, we have 3 different ways that they can do that. We go through inspection. We give them recommendations for inspectors, right? We're giving them the information that they need. Additionally, if we're very good as a team understanding why someone is buying or selling. And so making sure we're really congratulating them on this is why you're doing this kind of plays into that feeling heard. And then when it comes to safe, obviously, I feel like the information in this email, honestly, is what makes the client feel safe, because it shows them that we know what we're talking about and that they're in good hands, right?
Yeah, and they feel confident. And
right.
you also, you know, especially I think about like husband and wife, like me and my husband, I'm like D, I just want to read the high level. And
Mhm.
then my husband wants to go into every minute detail of everything. And it works out really well for accommodating that as well.
It does.
Which is awesome. And so you do that with every single one of those core emails.
Yes. Yep. So each one will have that. So after inspection, that they're going to get information if it's a loan deal about their appraisal. As they're starting to prepare for closing, usually once inspection is done, we're 2-3 weeks out from closing, and so starting to get their mindset into gear about, hey, we're getting ready for closing. Here are the final things. With mountain properties in Estes Park, we have unique things. We have septic system and wells and all these regulations that the county keep putting on.
Unique
And a lot of people have trust, right? So do your clients understand that they have to have a bank account with the trust name on it, not their name on it, because then their funds don't get deposited on closing day, and people love when their money doesn't show up.
I'm sure. You got all Heidi's calling you right away. All right. So we're going to try to we've got 5-6 more minutes, but I'm going to try to get through 3 of these questions.
Okay.
There's quite a few more I may ask you to follow up. But the first one is, how did you build your referral agent database? Like the list of the agents that are outside of your market. Is there a strategy specifically that you used?
We just look for people that embody the cores, that not necessarily the exact values, right, that we have, but demonstrate the same level of business that we would want our clients to feel if we are sending the client to them. So just intentional conversations at family reunion or drive Colorado Springs. We don't service there because it is, honestly, to try to get past Denver is a nightmare. So having good referral partners down there is super important. That's just kind of honestly how we built that. The people that go around family reunion just hand you a card and walk away from me, I'm like, you don't care about the relationship, clearly. And so a lot of times you're not getting added to our CRM, and it's a little bit of a harsh reality, but if that's my first impression, then that's how I'm going to think the client is going to feel, right?
Yeah.
So approach the agent how you would want the client to feel.
So you're focused on the quality of the agents in your database. So how many would that be for you guys?
We have 300, and I think it's down to 39. Just some people have gotten out of the business. And that, so 339. And they're just key little pockets. We still don't have every county or place, but we really try to make sure that we protect the agents that want to be part of our organization and not add additional people. So they truly are a referral partner. Because how many times have you heard someone go, "You're a referral partner," and then you see something, you're like, "Oh, why did you refer there?" And "Oh my God, I forgot you were there. We had this agent in our database." Like, truly, if you're going to run this, make them your partner for that area.
Yeah, that's great advice. All right. And then what parts of your marketing are automated versus which ones do you do, especially with clients, it sounds like?
So with our lead kind of people that do go through like the Facebook or come through YouTube, there is some automation that definitely immediately goes off. And keyword or key thing here, don't put first name as a field at the very beginning, because you get people that will put in random names, and it's to actually, I don't know if people are trying to test it, but basically then it shows that it's automated, right? And so we just put hello, or if for
really
me,
good
I would put
advice.
hey friend, like it would, because that's just who I am. Everyone's a friend once, you're in my world. And that way you're not accidentally sending something that shows that it's automated. Just key tip right there. A lot of that is automated though. And then we'll have tasks going off, like make phone call, do a follow-up phone call with the leads. So that a lot of that is automated. Our newsletter is really worked on. It goes out every other week. We're very involved with that. Jeff mainly does it. It's coming onto my plate because our marketing person was doing it, and then we had priority shift. So Jeff did take that over. our phone or our text messages and our quarterly emails that go out, those are automated, but just look very different than what our leads, or we call them the on-mets, are receiving. So a lot of this is automated. Besides our transaction coordinating, I have to push every single email. One, because if the system was automated, it might send it out after a deadline has already been completed. And again, I want to make sure the client knows that this is personally coming from me if there's certain details, right? Templates can sometimes just, if it's a, hey, your earnest money is complete, get ready to schedule your inspection. Usually that's what goes out with it. But sometimes people are on top of it and have already scheduled their inspection. So I want to make sure that's done. Okay, I was trying to go through that fast so we can get to more questions.
No, that's really good.
Hopefully that answers.
Follow-up to that is, now what part is not automated that you wish was?
Honestly, I think everything that should be automated is, and what isn't. I mean, it would be great if, we could have the email template switch over, right? Because it does take time, but I think it would take away that human element. Here's the biggest thing. And if you watch social media and you watch all these other things, what you see happening is the world is craving authenticity, right? There's so much AI going around. There's so much information going around, like videos. I'll be watching someone like, that's AI. Because then all of a sudden, you see 6 fingers, you're like, what's happening? And so people want authenticity. And so if you make everything automated, they're gonna just not have that relationship base. If you want to run a relationship-based business, you've got to put in some time of not having certain things automated.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you. I think especially video. No one wants to work with your AI agent. They have called to work with a real estate agent. So being authentic also means that you're not going to have it perfectly polished. You're not going to have editing on it, because you actually want people to see that, like, oh, I've got this light shining there. This is not a fake interview, but
now, like, you guys should see what this room looks like now behind me. Besides this little
nowadays, you cannot tell. It's very difficult to tell the difference. So people are actually looking for the authentic videos. So when it comes to videos that you are doing, you've got to do them yourself. Do not get to automation yet. And even in the future, right? You're just then playing into the fact that AI can replace your job. If you're doing that, that is exactly what you are saying yes to. So don't do that.
Well, and a reminder, AI is a tool. You should be using it as a tool. Yes, it can help with timing, right? With trying to get through projects. There are days that I'm like, I don't know what I would do without my ChatGPT. How did I get through things before my to-do list? But it just took me longer, right? It's shortened that, and you can train that tool, but at the end of the day, it still needs to be you. And so training your AI to make sure it is you is so important. And another note to that too is I see so many agents using AI to do that, where it's that video where they turn this with their headshot. And I'm like, that's the best way to describe it. And then that's their headshot on everything. And you see them in person, you're like, that's not you. You can have professional photography. Don't get me wrong. Obviously my headshot is, but AI did not create that.
Yeah.
And that's because when people meet me in person, this is who I am. And I think part of that, and this goes into the whole QL thing, embrace who you are. People want to work with you, not this imaginary AI human being.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect note to end. I think you did. That's perfect. You're right. People want to work with you. If you guys want to get the marketing plan, it's highimpact.agentmoves.io/Savanna. Thank you so much for being on here, Savanna. It was amazing. What you have built is truly amazing. It is really, really amazing. And I think you have one last thing you want to add on. I know, to have anyone do. Yes. Let's do
yes. And really quickly too. And I will always give it up to the team, because we have these intentional meetings every Monday where the 3 of us are sitting down talking about these issues. So truly also Julie and Jeff, internally grateful to them as well. Additionally, though, I am just finishing up becoming KWU certified. And so if you guys go to KWEval, so EVAL.com, if you guys would be so gracious to give me a review, I would greatly appreciate that. I just am needing to hit 75 reviews before my application gets turned in to get approved, so I could start teaching around the nation.
Amazing, amazing. We will also put that link in the high impact community so you can go on in there and you will have the marketing plan there too if you did not get a chance to do that. All right. Thank you, Savanna.